Well, folks, we're back again. This is Ben After Dark. This week, as President Joe Biden continued to struggle with basic bodily functions, the Democratic Party continued to melt down. First, Biden did an interview with George Stephanopoulos, in which even Stephanopoulos, who had to take off from helping Santa make toys, couldn't use his elf magic to revivify Joe Biden. It was so bad that later Stephanopoulos was caught on tape saying Joe Biden is too far gone to be president.
You talked to him more than anybody else have lately, and you could be honest. You don't think you can serve 4 more years? All right, that's an answer.
The shock here isn't actually what George Stephanopoulos is saying. It's that George Stephanopoulos is finally, after all these decades, saying something true. It's like that part where Mini-Me finally abandons Dr. Evil and starts working with Austin Powers, except Mini-Me is taller. Then, news started leaking about Joe Biden. Apparently, Joe wants to end his day at 8:01 p.m., because that's when his brain turns back into a pumpkin. That's just fine, because as we all know, evil dictators only operate during business hours. And if things go wrong, the Defense Department can always ask Dr. Jill what to do. She has a doctorate in silly shit, just like Patch Adams. Also, Joe Biden apparently hasn't held an actual cabinet meeting in 9 months. 9 months. Good thing nothing important happened during that period of time. Well, next, President Biden did a radio interview in which he declared he was the first black woman to serve under the first black president.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman to serve with a black president.
I know who I am!
Which, if true, is huge news. It means that he wouldn't just be the first black female vice president, but also the first black trans female vice president, which, by the rules of Democratic Party politics, makes him automatic intersectional president for life. In fact, it makes him king, or queen, or both. That was an interview, by the way, in which the Biden team actually submitted all the questions it wanted the host to ask in advance, and then Biden still blew it harder than the Hawk Tuah girl. Also, that interview was edited, again at the request of the White House. They made the worst parts disappear, just like Ellen Page. All of this culminated in Joe Biden at NATO this week. Even if he thought he was at a Yankees game, he was actually at NATO. There, Biden promptly demonstrated his foreign policy bona fides by introducing the president of Ukraine.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
If this was on Veep, you would have called bullshit. But don't worry, he had a press conference scheduled for later where he was supposed to show just how with it he actually is sharp at the top of his game. It was originally scheduled for 5:30 p.m., but that's when Denny's does dinner. Then it was at 6:30 p.m., but that's when Matlock is on. Then it was at 7 p.m., but Wheel of Fortune. And then 7:30 p.m. Finally, around 8 p.m., he started. 8 p.m., you know what that means. And so, Joe Biden promptly dropped this magical moment.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
Think about how terrible Kamala Harris is, that Democrats keep choosing this vegetable over her. Meanwhile, Democrats continue to argue with each other over who would be the first person to break it to Grandpa Joe that it was time for him to move into the nursing home. Everyone knows Joe Biden has to go. The night help is no longer sufficient, but no one is willing to say the thing out loud. So they're sitting around, staring at each other, just looking at the weird orange carpet in Grandpa's house, whispering, "You do it. No, you do it. Come on, you said you'd do it. We'll do it at the same time. 1, 2. Man, no, you do it." Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi says that Joe Biden should make the right decision. Imagine Nancy Pelosi thinking she knows what a right decision is. That's like Casey Anthony knowing what daycare to send your kids to. What is Nancy Pelosi talking about? She already said he's made the decision over and over and over.
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
It's like watching the mom of a teenager with borderline personality disorder try to talk to him about his future. Make good decisions. Not those decisions, the other decisions. But Biden isn't going anywhere, mainly because he's 200 pounds of dead weight. like literal dead weight. Well, the Democrats are in chaos. In fact, the entire government is in chaos because it turns out that our tax receipts are too low for our spending. Well, the IRS is coming up with new ways to chisel money out of you. They are escalating their collections by adding 20,000 new agents and sending millions of demand letters. Handling that alone can be a huge mistake and cost you thousands of bucks. In these challenging times, your best offense is Tax Network USA. With over 14 years of experience, the experts at Tax Network USA have saved clients millions in back taxes. Regardless of the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. Tax Network USA offers 3 key services: protection, compliance, and settlement. Upon signing up, Tax Network USA will immediately contact the IRS to secure a protection order, ensuring that aggressive collection activities like garnishments, levies, or property seizures are halted. If you haven't filed for a while, need amended returns, or you're missing records, Tax Network USA's expert tax preparers will update all your filings to eliminate the risk of IRS enforcement. Then they'll create a settlement strategy to reduce or eliminate your tax debt. The IRS is the world's largest collection agency. Now the tax season is over, they're coming after you. Tax Network USA can even help with state tax issues. For a complimentary consultation, call today, 1-800-245-6000, or visit their website, tnusa.com/Shapiro. That's 1-800-245-6000, or visit tnusa.com/Shapiro today. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. Get the help you need with Tax Network USA. Well, as Slow Joe feels more and more pressure to drop out of the presidential race, Donald Trump is turning up the heat. You might remember that back in that terrible debate, Slow Joe claimed to have had a 6 handicap as vice president, mostly because he thinks it's calculated by how many times you shit yourself while you play 18. Trump correctly jumped in and told him that was humanly impossible since Joe Biden should not be driving a car, let alone a golf ball. Well, now at a rally at his own Doral course in Florida on Tuesday, Trump challenged Biden to the most American challenge in history, a golf game for all the marbles, for the future of the free world, like Space Jam, but with 2 old people playing golf. There can be only one. There can be only one. Trial by golf combat. This is, simply put, the best idea in the history of American politics. Think of the ratings. Think of the spectacle. Think of the fact that we could skip the next 5 months of this bull and go back to our day jobs. But no, because we can't have nice things. A spokesperson for Joe Biden quickly deemed the challenge weird antics and then regurgitated talking points from before we saw their candidate drift into the sunken place on national TV. So that isn't going to happen. No shock there. But perhaps next election, the 2 candidates, who probably will be, because this is what we deserve, Trump and Biden again, will face off in the sport of champions, shuffleboard. It wasn't just Republicans attacking the Democratic ticket this week. It was actually their own party having a field day with their mummified candidate. Even the most Hollywood elite of their donors has realized Joe Biden's true senile condition, and he wants out. Just weeks after headlining a major fundraiser for re-election, Facts of Life star George Clooney is now pushing for Slow Joe to voluntarily drop out of the race. In a New York Times opinion piece, he wrote the man he saw at the fundraiser was not the Joe Big Effin' Deal from 2010 or even what we remember from 2020. He was the same man we witnessed at the debate.
The fact is that you and I are sitting here today because this will be your last week of employment.
No shit, George. Didn't take Michael Clayton to figure that one out. Imagine how bad Joe Biden has to be for the guy who made Batman and Robin to walk away. This is the dude who saw nipples on the Batman suit and said, okay, sure, I'm in. And then he saw Joe Biden last week and was like, nope, not a chance. Listen, George Clooney hasn't been just a superficial celebrity for Democrats over the years. His fundraiser last month brought in $28 million for Joe Biden's re-elect campaign. That is the most ever from a single event in party history. It finally beat the record. The 1988 campaign event, where Michael Dukakis sat in a dunk tank filled with urine, letting local school kids throw tennis balls at the target. It was a fun night. Clooney has been close friends with Biden since 2008. I mean, not over the past 4 years when he literally never visited the White House, but other than that. Supposedly, the actor even called his other close friend, Barack Obama, to warn him about the piece before it was published. And Barack Obama didn't even try to dissuade him. Mainly because Obama hates Joe Biden and thinks he's a complete moron, which is actually the only thing Barack Obama has ever been correct about. They all know their friend is slowly fading away, like one of the McFly siblings in a family photograph, except with more poop and vomit and less Chuck Berry. Hilariously, the Biden-Harris campaign responded to the op-ed by clapping back like this was a rap battle. They said the president stayed at the event for over 3 hours, while George Clooney quickly took a photo and left. Yes, that was the genius line of attack from Team Biden. Their 81-year-old houseplant has more virility and energy than movie star George Clooney. Even CNN was confused.
A campaign official who attended that Los Angeles fundraiser tells me that George Clooney left 3 hours before the president. So clearly, the gloves are off. Jake?
But what does that mean, that George Clooney left 3 hours? What's the point?
The point of that is to suggest that Biden's stamina is better than Clooney's, and Clooney didn't have, eyes on the entire event. That's the response to the Clooney op-ed.
Okay. Okay. Either way, the ship is quickly sinking. The Biden campaign band continues to play on. It's only a matter of time before a floating, bloated corpse finds its way to shore, where I'm assuming it will be propped up again for the next debate. One way to save money is with changing your cell phone service to Pure Talk. It's half the cost of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. Now you might be thinking, what's the catch? There's no way Pure Talk can offer unlimited talk, text, plenty of data for just $20 a month. I say, just ask the thousands of my other listeners who've already switched. They know the truth. They're loving America's most dependable 5G network. They love Pure Talk's U.S. customer service, their selection of premium phones, the money they are saving month to month. So what exactly are you waiting for? It's time to start supporting companies who actually like your values, like creating American jobs and supporting our veterans. It's time to switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk. Plus, with no contract and a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Visit puretalk.com/Shapiro to upgrade your cell phone service to America's most dependable 5G network. Save an extra 50% off your very first month of coverage. That's puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Again, puretalk.com/Shapiro today. All you have to do, head on over to puretalk.com/Shapiro, upgrade your cell phone service, get America's most dependable 5G network, and save an extra 50% off month numero uno. That's puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Rare good news out of Hollywood this week as Mattel's follow-up to their manipulatively woke garbage heap of a film Barbie starts to take shape. In case you forgot, Barbie ended up making $1 billion at the box office, yet did for feminism what the Challenger did for the space program. It was announced this week that Mattel's proposed next movie, Polly Pocket, will no longer be written and directed by Lena Dunham, a TV showrunner and filmmaker who looks like this now. She seems super happy, like she should do a movie about children's toys. Yes, the same Lena Dunham, who in the past has turned virtue signaling into an Olympic sport. For example, she once wrote this pristine line of dialogue, quote, "I'm not interested, unless it involves a new app that makes your iPhone spin around and then shoot out tampons," unquote. For real. She got paid to write that. This woman makes Greta Gerwig look like Billy Wilder. Her HBO show Girls was not only grotesque filth, it was as if a pink-haired pansexual transformed into a script. Dunham had reportedly been working on the Polly Pocket movie for 3 years, but in the end, she couldn't make it something she absolutely had to make, which I can argue can be said about literally anything she's ever done. Now, for those who don't remember, Polly Pocket was a toy line of dolls and accessories that would spring out of their homes, a makeup compact. So, we can assume Lena's version had boys playing with Polly Pockets while checking their makeup, or even turning the main character into Polyamorous Pocket, a small toy dating both G.I. Joe and Strawberry Shortcake. Trust me when I say, this is the decision we all needed. Now if we can just get Kathleen Kennedy away from Star Wars.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Well, it's also peak summertime. That means poolside gatherings, barbecues, kids off to camp, and many Americans finding themselves gravitating to live music. Festivals around the country have kicked into high gear. Some of music's biggest names and dumbest stars are out on large-scale tours, selling out arenas in pretty much every city you can think of. One touring artist on the dimmer side of that scale is R&B singer and convicted felon Chris Brown. Brown's career has experienced a nosedive that would make you think that he was managed by Boeing, since assaulting his then-girlfriend Rihanna in 2009 and following it up with a myriad of personal and legal issues ever since. His life has become a constant personal competition with himself, where he tries to do something infinitely stupider every year. Hit and run? Sure. Probation violation? Absolutely. Racist attacks on Twitter? You got it. But now Chris Brown has found a way to at least make his lunacy financially lucrative. For his current 11/11 tour, he's offering a VIP meet and greet package that will set you back, wait for it, $1,111. $1,111? For that kind of money, Hunter Biden will protect your Ukrainian gas company. But for this extra fee, you get to meet up with Chris Brown, which is something his parole officer couldn't always pull off. And you get signed merchandise and a picture with the genius who calls himself Breezy. Keep in mind that VIP price doesn't even include a ticket to the show. That's extra. The pictures he's been taking during these weird, overtly expensive interactions are now taking the internet by storm. All because these concert goers appear to really be getting their $1,111 worth. And also possibly syphilis. Let's check this one out. Oh no. Is that worse for her or for him? That's not good. You see, Brown is posing for explicitly lewd pictures of fans that have paid to meet him. One lady even admitted that her fiancé left her after seeing the picture she took with Brown. That was this picture, by the way. Yeah, okay. Good for her fiancé. I haven't seen someone dodge a bullet like that since Neo in The Matrix. But let me also suggest that significant others of these women also leave them immediately. Oh, boy. I'll be honest. I'm all for musicians finding a way to make money in an industry that appears to now be a fury road-like wasteland for commerce. But at what point is Chris Brown just exploiting disgusting, horny losers for 45 seconds of an Instagram memory that will humiliate their children for life? If they have children, which I hope they don't. But I guess Chris Brown really isn't concerned with photos that will humiliate his children. Folks, this has been Ben After Dark. We'll be here to torture you with more next week.